This lesson is going to be on a George Torey song called Married Woman Blues. And George Torey is one of those super obscure bluesmen from the 1920s who probably nothing's really known about. He probably only recorded 3 or 4 things in his lifetime. One of those classic guys where no one probably knows when he was born or when he died, that kind of thing. But he recorded this super great song, and it's one of actually my favorite Delta blues, or whatever you want to call it, blues tunes from that particular era. And this song is actually in standard tuning, like Pony Blues, and you won't have to capo up anywhere. I've got a capo up to the second just because I'm tuned down to D so that my guitar doesn't fold in half. Alright. And I'm not perfectly in tune. Sorry about that. But just with the capo and everything, yeah. But yeah, so what I'll do is just go through the song once. I've provided a link to the recording in the info section below, just because I don't think there's a recording out there on YouTube. But yeah, so here it is. Alright, so that's pretty much the tune. I played there the intro and one chorus of what he plays while he sings. And to start off with the intro, basically starts off with this little double stop. And this double stop is played on the 7th fret of the top E string and the 9th fret of the B string. And he'll kind of just come into it a few times like this. Alright? And then up on the 9th fret of the top E string. So you see I'm kind of going from 9 to 7, bending a bit. He actually does a pre-bend, which makes it sound pretty cool. And then, as we were talking about with Pony Blues with Charley Patton, the little train whistle lick. And the way he does that is just bending the 8th fret of the B string into the 7th fret of the top E string. And once you're done with that, as you heard earlier, you'll come back down here and just go. So that's a pretty intuitive line. You can probably work that out with your ear, but what it is just open E, pull off from the 2nd fret of the B string, open, hammering into the 1st fret of the G string and the top E string. That whole sequence happens pretty fast. It's actually kind of hard to play. But you can definitely get the hang of it once you get it under muscle memory, you know, at a slow tempo, and then once you work it out so that it's under your fingers, you could pretty much, you could probably crank it up to any tempo. And then he'll play a couple bass notes, and then this little thing. So that's just playing a little bend on the 3rd fret of the B string. But just before you hit it, almost like hitting a kick drum, you kind of muffled pluck the bottom string. And then again. Oh, sorry. So on the treble side, that's just that little bend, open, and then that same hammer on into the 2nd fret of the B string. With the bass note, so you hit it twice there. And then he'll do a little bass run that goes so on the 2nd fret of the A string, and then walking up from the open D into the 2nd fret. He'll kind of change the way he does it. Sometimes he'll go bottom string, or he'll do that, or maybe even variations of pretty much the same thing. And then let's just go over what we've got so far. And then he'll kind of repeat that same thing, except hit those treble double stops. So what I'm hearing, I think, is just the top 2 strings, and then the 2nd and 3rd strings, and then the same kind of thing. Alright? What happens after that is a little fingerstyle kind of groove thing that happens. Let's see. Let me just get into it here. Plays it quite quickly, but really what's happening is an alternating bass on the bottom string in the 2nd fret of the D string. So that's happening throughout this little lick. And on the treble side, again, it really helps to divide the bass and the treble always when you're doing this kind of thing. Just kind of helps your mind work a little less stressfully. You've got this. So that's just that hammer on into the 1st fret of the G string, into the top string, and then the 2nd fret of the B string. And then same thing, but now you just kind of sit on that top string. Alright, so again, that's 1 cycle. 2nd cycle. I think he does it probably about 4 times. Alright, and together with the bass notes, plays it quite quickly, so make sure again you get comfortable with it at a slow tempo and work it up, making sure that you've really got it under your fingers before you start cranking the metronome, if that's what you use. Alright, so that's the intro, and again he'll go through that about 4 times, and then he'll start singing. And once he starts singing, he plays those typical 8-bar blues chord shapes. This is an 8-bar blues, by the way. So the first chord shape he plays will be a bar across the top 4 strings of the 4th fret. So you've got that, and And then on the 4th string, you'll be fretting the 4th fret. Wait, no, that's not the 4th fret, that's the 6th fret. And then the 5th fret of the B string. So you've got this. Alright? So I'll kind of just strum that. And then you'll jump into this chord shape, which a lot of you, I'm sure, will have already seen this a million times. And if you haven't, this is just a great chord to know, chord shape to know. What it is just a bar on the 4th fret, again, same bar, which makes it easier. You can just stay on that same bar. Except you'll be fretting the 7th fret with your pinky. And kind of, you can open and close between the 7th and 5th fret here. So it's kind of a nice sound because here's the major chord with the root on top. And you can change it into a dominant 7th chord because now this is the dominant 7th. So major, dominant 7th. You can even, this won't really apply to most country blues tunes, but just for your own knowledge, if you don't already know, this is also just a major 6th. Because you just got the major 6th on top. Alright, so you've got this. And now the nice thing is that since it's an 8-bar blues, we can just move this down a couple frets to the 4 chord. Same kinds of things that we can do opening and closing this. And he does a little more stuff on the 4 chord, and that is he'll go. So just playing around the chords. So again, it's that, and then using the first 3 notes, that is the bottom 3 notes of the chord, he'll just play the bar, and then he'll play the 5th fret of the B string. Again, just these 3 notes of the chord, the D, G, and B strings. So again, these with the top string, E string, and then we just deal with these 3 notes of the chord. And then what he does is he comes down to the bottom bass strings, the ones that aren't part of the bar chord, and he'll just kind of enter into the 4 using the tonic. And then he'll go, you can kind of bend that with the middle finger if you can a bit. That's just playing these 3 notes of the chord that we were doing just now with the 5th fret fretted of the B on the B string. And then you kind of just play this almost as a little bend, releasing this pinky finger here, so it's just the dominant 7. So again, what we've got is and here we get to kind of a weird part of the song, and I think I swear this is what I'm hearing. It's just so strange, because so often, I mean, the licks that we end up playing are Patton licks that maybe get a little changed up through Sunhouse or Robert Johnson or Willie Brown, but for the most part they're the same chord shapes, fingerings, little licks, etc. But this one just seems out of nowhere. It's just, It sounds cool, but it's just so strange. Alright, so I'll just show it to you anyways. What it is just a second fret of the A string, fourth fret of the D string, so you got a little power chord. But maybe just stick in a little bar where your pointer finger is, at least so that it covers up to the G string. And so you've added that little fourth fret, and what happens is he goes, so you'll hammer into the fourth fret with your pinky finger on the G string. That might be a little difficult to do at first, but you'll get it. And then he'll go second fret of the bottom E string, open D string. Alright, so that's the end of the weird bit. After this it gets back to normal. And this little way of getting back to the one is the same actually as the way Charley Patton gets back to the one in Pony Blues, the video I just posted before this. Charley Patton goes like, whereas I don't think George Torey's quite that harsh. He'll go like, alright, so it'll just be fourth fret of the A string with a little sweep on the open treble strings. But just to add a little more meat on the little sequence, I like to throw in the second fret of the D and G strings. So you can kind of, I just like to bar that with my, excuse me, my pointer finger. You'll have to be careful not to accidentally mute those top treble strings, so you might have to get creative with the bar there. But you see I'm just going, and then following through with those two second fret notes. And then coming down to the second fret of the A string, with a little sweep on the treble. And then thankfully the ending is just as the intro was. And when he's singing, so basically after the intro, he doesn't really do the cycle of, he'll just go, he might just strum the major chord a bit, but he'll usually just go right back into the chorus. Okay, so that's pretty much Married Woman Blues. Hope you liked the video. It's kind of cool to get to know maybe bluesman, Delta blues guy that you didn't know before. It's a really cool tune, and like I was saying, one of my favorites. So yeah, if you've got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching. See you later.